Exposed. Millionaire who turned away every woman finds amazing love with poor girl at bus stop. Jack Carrington stood at the crowded bus stop in Willow Creek, a king in his castle of steel and glass, yet profoundly alone. With his perfectly tailored suit and the latest smartwatch glinting on his wrist, he radiated the aura of success. But inside, he felt like an empty vault, echoing with sorrow and pain. Every penny he had stacked to the ceiling couldn't by the warmth of connection. He was known as the cold-hearted millionaire, a man respected but never loved. Across the street, Sarah Thompson juggled trays at the local diner and dreams of a better life with her elderly grandparents tugging at her heart. Each night she wiped a table, her spirit stumbled yet never broke. The weight of her father's death carried heavy chains of responsibility, but within her flickered a light, drawing her toward possibilities, a world far outside her grab-and-scrape everyday existence. Their worlds collided in a brief moment at the bus stop. A flash of misunderstanding. Jack shot a glance at Sarah, noting her worn sneakers and tired eyes. Another one who thinks the world owes her, he thought. Sarah, feeling his piercing gaze, responded with internal revulsion, regarding him as just another indifferent rich guy, wrapped in his bubble, untouched by the struggles of the common folk. Yet, as days slithered by, fate kept pulling them back to that same corner of the world. Their awkward exchanges gradually morphed into friendly banter, tentative smiles exchanged like secret treasures. Sarah's laughter began to break open the frozen shell of Jack's heart, and Jack's steady presence slowly eased Sarah's burdens. The buzz of the crowd faded away, and the weight of their respective judgments began to lift. One afternoon, the neighborhood faced a heart-wrenching crisis. A beloved local bakery was on the brink of closing. Jack saw the despair ripple through the community, his eyes scanning the frayed banners and desperate faces. Sarah's passionate plea broke through the noise, urging the townsfolk to stand together. It lit a fire in Jack, something he had rarely felt amid his wealth-driven goals. Her conviction awakened something buried beneath his callous facade. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Together, they rallied, gathering signatures and crafting speeches. Jack, once locked away in his ivory tower, learned to listen with intent, opening up too. Sarah's struggles resonated deeply, pulling at his heartstrings. As they stood side by side, their bond grew stronger, like roots intertwining beneath the earth. But lurking beneath the surface, shadows of old family secrets began to rise. With every word exchanged, Jack learned about Sarah's loss, her father a hero who never returned. She learned of Jack's stilted relationship with a cold, controlling father he had always tried to please. Fear mingled with hope. Jack feared letting someone in might expose him to pain again, and Sarah feared losing the light she had found with him. As their friendship blossomed amid the chaos and hope of the community, the strains of their pasts threatened to tear them apart. When the truth about Jack's father's ruthless practices surfaced, it sent a fresh wave of doubt crashing through Sarah. Would he choose his legacy of wealth over the love they were building? Standing at that bus stop once more, a fierce storm boiled in the air, and Jack realized he was at a crossroads. What choice would he make when the truth threatened to unravel everything they had worked for? Rain began to fall, heavy and relentless, as Jack stood at the bus stop, torn between two worlds. The cold sheets of water drummed on the pavement, mirroring the tempest in his heart. He could feel the weight of his father's expectations draping over him like the dark clouds swallowing the sky. It was as if nature was emphasizing the turmoil within him, each drop a whisper of doubt. Across the street, Sarah watched through the diner window. The warm glow of the interior contrasted sharply with the storm outside, but her heart felt frigid. She couldn't shake the unease that had settled in ever since Jack had opened up about his father's empire, one built on ruthless ambition and hardened hearts. Could he really break free from that legacy? Or was he destined to follow in someone else's footsteps, leaving her behind in the dust of his decisions? With each passing moment, she felt the urge to confront her fears, to seek answers. She pushed through the diner's door, the bell jingling softly as she stepped into the rain. The cool drops struck her face and seeped into her clothes, invigorating her resolve. She needed to clarify what this budding relationship meant. "Jack," she called, stepping closer, her heart pounding louder than the storm. He turned, surprise mingling with a glimmer of hope. The sight of him, suit-drenched and hair ruffled, stirred something deep inside her. "We need to talk." The anxiety on his face was palpable. He stepped closer, shielding Sarah from the rain. "What is wrong?" he asked, concern etching his features. "I don't know where we stand," she replied, breathless. "I feel like I'm losing you to a past I can't compete with." Jack's expression softened as he searched her eyes, seeking to bridge the chasm forming between them. "You could never lose me. I want to be with you." But he hesitated, wrestling with words that felt heavy on his tongue. "My father, he has a hold on me I can't shake." "But you can break free, Jack," Sarah urged, determination fueling her voice. "You've shown me that you can care, that you are more than just a shadow." The words hung in the air, their impact carved in the distance around them. Jack ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched on his brow. "You don't understand. This legacy can destroy us. I don't know if I can defy him without it costing me everything I've built." Each admission was a dagger to Sarah's heart, yet her empathy swelled for the man standing before her. "I don't want to be part of that world," she whispered, her voice quivering. "I just want to know if you would choose me over it." Silence stretched between them like an unspoken promise. The rain continued its relentless patter, an orchestra to their mounting tension. Jack stepped back, his chest rising and falling rapidly as if the weight of his decisions hung in the air. "I don't know if I can." As those words slipped through his lips, anguish washed over Sarah, a feeling of helplessness clawing at her insides. Could love truly flourish in the shadow of such darkness? Her gut twisted, as uncertainty gnawed away at the connection they had fought so hard to build. In that storm, clarity washed over Jack like the rain cascading off his shoulders. He had reached a critical moment, and the truth about himself, his desires, and the steps ahead loomed over him starkly. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, the distant rumble of thunder echoed ominously, mirroring the storm brewing in his heart. Would he allow fear and legacy to dictate his choices? Or would he finally embrace the love that beckoned him, even amidst the chaos? The bus pulled up, the doors sliding open as the world around them shifted gears. Jack's heart raced. The moment had arrived. He had to choose. Would it be the bus away from this town, or would it be Sarah beside him? "Jack," she said softly, breaking through the haze of his thoughts. "What if I told you?" he began, his eyes locking onto hers, certainty battling fear. But before he could finish, a loud crack of thunder startled them both, and in that instant, the winds shifted, bringing change that neither of them expected. Jack felt the electricity in the air, a jolt far stronger than the storm surrounding them. The bus doors stood wide open, waiting, but he couldn't move. Sarah's eyes were wide with expectant hope, and he could see her heart beating beneath the layers of vulnerability she wore so openly. "What if I told you?" he started again, his voice laden with a promise just beyond his reach. But the moment shattered under the weight of another thunderclap, reverberating through the air like a warning. It forced both of them to step back from the edge of that precipice, where a leap of faith could either send them soaring or crashing into despair. "Jack," she said again, more urgency creeping into her voice, "please. I can't lose you." Jack looked into her eyes, searching for an answer, for a path that would lead away from his father's oppressive shadow and into a bright future with Sarah. "I don't want to lose you either," he confessed, each word spilling from his heart like rain. "But leaving it feels impossible." As the storm raged on, swirling around them, the feeling of inevitability enveloped him. This moment felt pivotal, fated. Just as he was about to gather the courage to speak from his heart, He noticed something it wasn't only the thunder persuading him to stay rooted. It was the sudden appearance of his father's sleek black car pulling up to the curb. An ominous presence that threatened to unravel everything. "Jack." The voice called from within the car, smooth and commanding, sending a shiver up his spine. A chill ran through him as he turned, expecting to see a familiar face lined with disappointment. Instead, his father's gaze was steely, and it landed squarely on Sarah. "Get in the car," he ordered, dismissing her presence, as though Sarah were nothing but a shadow in his world. Jack's heart raced, the world around him blurring. The pressure of legacy bore down heavier now, thudding in his chest like the drum of thunder that echoed overhead. "No," he shouted, surprising even himself. "No, I won't." "Jack," Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "Don't do this." "What if he is right? What if he's wrong?" Jack countered, his voice rising above the wind and rain. "What if I can make my own choices?" His father stepped out of the car, slick with rain and disdain, eyes narrowed. "You think you have a choice? You owe everything to me, this town, your future, everything you've ever known depends on me." "Not everything," Jack shot back, his heart reeling. "Sometimes I wonder if what I want matters at all." He darted a glance at Sarah, something in him igniting. The wind howled, but the urge to go on pushed against Jack's restraint. "I refuse to let this define me anymore." "Think carefully, son," his father replied, tempering his voice with an edge as sharp as glass. "You're making a fool of yourself. You want to survive outside my empire. You'll lose everything." A deep silence hung in the air, the thunder now a whispered conversation between the heavens. Jack was caught between two worlds. He glanced from his father, fierce and unwavering, to Sarah, looking fragile yet resolute, both pulling on his heart with an urgency that felt almost tangible. "Everything?" he echoed almost to himself, the words twisting in the storm around him. "What if losing everything means finally becoming who I'm meant to be?" As he took a step forward, Sarah's hand reached out, fingers brushing lightly against his. There was warmth in that connection, a promise woven in hope. "Jack, you can break free. We can do this together." But all those voices echoed in his mind, a cacophony of legacy and desire, love and expectation. The decision loomed before him like a darkened sky. "Please," Sarah urged, her eyes pleading for a resolution. With another roar of thunder, Jack's heart thundered too, a mixture of fear and determination crashing together. "I have to decide," but just when the clarity of his choice began to surface, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the scene, delaying the moment of truth by another agonizing second. The world around him spun. Did he dare to grasp at freedom, or would he slip into the void of inherited darkness? "Tell me what to do," he breathed, torn between fear and the promise of a life intertwined with that of the woman next to him. As Sarah's grip tightened, the world stood still, awaiting the answer that could change everything. The next thunderclap rolled in like fate, ready to fracture the silence. Would he choose the path of fear, or would he fight for the love that felt both exhilarating and terrifying? What awaited him on the other side? The air crackled with uncertainty, and for Jack, the storm intensified not just outside, but within his very soul. Jack's breath hitched as the thunder rumbled like a solemn judge ready to pass sentence. He could feel the weight of his father's expectations pressing down on him, each heartbeat like a drum, cacophonic and chaotic. Sarah's touch was like a lifeline, but the connection trembled, just as the storm outside was shifting ominously. "Jack," Sarah whispered again, the urgency in her voice stirring something deep in him. "You can't let him decide for you. You have to choose for yourself." "What if I choose wrong?" Jack's mind raced through the possibilities. The thought of abandoning the life he knew sent an icy chill through his veins. Could he really just walk away? "Wrong is still your choice," she replied firmly. "And I'd rather face the storm with you than live in the shadow of someone else's dreams." For the first time, Jack saw in her eyes not just hope, but a fierce determination. It anchored him, reminding him of why he was even contemplating this split, this leap into the unknown. As the wind howled, he turned back to face his father, who remained an immovable force, arms crossed and jaw tight. "You don't own me," Jack shouted, wielding the words like a sword. I'm tired of living in a world where your dreams suffocate mine. His father's face twisted in disbelief. You think you can survive without me? You'll become just another face in the crowd. The laughter in Jack's heart hardened into something more resilient. Maybe being just a face in the crowd beats being a puppet on a string. With each beat of his heart, he felt the ground beneath him shifting. The world around them blurred momentarily as he stepped forward, closing the distance, daring to reach the precipice of his own fate. Sarah's eyes filled with tears that shone like raindrops in the dim light of the storm. I believe in you, she breathed, as her fingers tightened around his. It was then that Jack saw this wasn't just about him anymore. It was every choice they would make together, every moment of bravery that would echo in their lives. He didn't want to look back in regret, wondering what could have been. In that second, the sound of the approaching storm paled against the torrent of emotion rising in him. The explosion of thunder, perhaps it was the universe giving him a final push. No more, he declared. I'm done living for you. I want to live for me. Jack took a deep breath, feeling liberated with each word spoken. His father's face twisted in anger, but Jack stood firm, fortified by that brief moment of connection with Sarah. Get in the car, Jack. His father's voice boomed, but it was now distant, barely reaching through the resolve that enveloped him. Jack shook his head, raising his voice over the pounding rain. I'm not going with you. I'm staying right here. This is my life. As thunder crashed, he turned back towards Sarah, the choice finally clear. He had to step into the open air of possibility, even if it meant facing the unknown headfirst. But just as he reached for her, a sudden flash of lightning cut through the darkness. It illuminated the scene before him, his father's narrowed eyes, Sarah's expectant expression, each element etched against the night sky. Yet, in the chaos of emotions swirling around, a new thought struck him. What if this moment was just the beginning of something greater, something still waiting to unfold? As the thunder rolled once more, it left behind an echo of unanswered questions lingering in the air. Jack's heart raced with anticipation and dread. What if this is just the start of losing everything I've known? He whispered, glancing at Sarah. She stepped closer, determination replacing the fear in her eyes. Then we'll face it together. Before Jack could respond, the next bolt of lightning brightened the night like a sign of what was to come, igniting a wild flame of courage. He could feel a shift in destiny, a new purpose burgeoning inside him. What awaited them on the other side? Jack closed the distance, drawing strength from Sarah's presence. The storm swirled around them, the fury outside a mere reflection of the tempest within. But one truth rang clear through all the noise. The choice ahead was his, and whatever awaited him was theirs to discover together. Would they rise against the storm or be swept away by the tide of legacy? The horizon loomed uncertainly, and the very air crackled with possibility, urging them to leap. In the chaos, a new chapter beckoned, alive with the promise of life beyond their fears. What would they find if they dared to embrace it? The wind screamed around them, a fierce companion to Jack's inner turmoil. He glanced back at his father, whose stormy expression said it all. Fury blended with disbelief. Jack should have felt fear, but instead, he felt liberated. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just a reflection of his family's expectations. He was alive. Jack. His father barked again, but the urgency was fading. Jack could sense the walls of power crumbling. He had shattered the facade, uncovering a new reality for himself. Let him yell, Sarah whispered, her voice soft yet steady, like a warm hand on his back. You're breaking free. This is bigger than you think. And there it was. In her words, in her eyes, he found more than support. He discovered a love that would not only withstand the storm, but thrive in it. With every heartbeat, he felt the tangible weight of change. Let us get out of here, he said, looking into Sarah's eyes. A surge of hope ran through him, pulsing with each idea of a future yet unwritten. The old life felt like a butterfly trapped in a jar, and he longed to set it free. Sarah nodded, her smile steadying him against the gale. They turned together, taking their first step toward an unknown future, each footfall resonating in sync with the pounding rain. Jack marveled at how right it felt, how following his heart, following her ignited a fire deep within. Every stride they took felt like a silent rebellion, echoing loud enough to drown out the disapproving thunder behind them. It was exhilarating. With each step, fears evaporated and possibilities crystallized. "We can figure it out," Sarah assured him, squeezing his hand tighter. "Wherever we go, we're in this together." And there, in that moment of unity, hope floated between them, airy and light. Yet it was anchored deeply within Jack's chest. Would they really navigate the storm? Would the backlash from his father send them spiraling? As they reached the edge of the driveway, Jack glanced back one last time at the house that had always represented his past. The fading lights flickered like memories caught in a net, each flicker, a choice he no longer had to make. With Sarah by his side, the darkness that once loomed there now transformed into mere shadows. Shadows would not hold him back. "Let us go," he said, his voice ringing with a confidence he hadn't felt before. They started walking, aiming for the unknown, with the rain washing away remnants of doubt. But just as they rounded the corner of the block, the loud rev of an engine interrupted the rhythm of their footsteps. Jack turned to find his father's car screeching to a halt just behind them. "Jack!" his father shouted, desperation tinged with anger slipping into his tone. "You don't know what you're doing." Jack felt the weight of those words pressing down, heavy and suffocating. But he didn't allow the fear to creep in. Instead, he straightened his back, his resolve solidified. "I do, Dad. I'm finally living for me." "Living for you?" His father laughed, a sharp sound that cut through the air. "No one cares about you out there. You are nothing without this family." It stung, the deep-set truth in those words mingling with old fears resurfacing. But Jack felt Sarah's hand in his, grounding him once more. "Maybe," he said quietly, looking into the eyes of the man who once held his world together. "But I'm not scared of being nothing anymore." With a final push of courage, he turned away, but instead of running, they walked calmly forward. The tension lingered in the air around them, electric and raw. The beginning of independence was daunting, but with Sarah, it felt like a thrilling ride into a new life. As the storm crackled around them and the engine's roar faded, Jack wondered what awaited them once the clouds cleared. But one thing was certain, leaving his father behind had only opened the door to a future filled with promise, and as they stepped onto the quieter side street, a thought flickered in his mind. What if the storm was just a metaphor for the challenges they'd face together? Would they emerge stronger on the other side, or would they find out that the fight against their past was only beginning? The rain poured relentlessly, each drop a reminder of the distance they were creating. Jack felt every pulse of uncertainty dance on his skin, but Sarah's grip was a lifeline. They moved forward, finding a rhythm in the chaos that surrounded them. After a few blocks, the growl of the engine faded into a distant memory and the tension in Jack's shoulders loosened. The sound of the rain became a comforting white noise, and with every step, it washed away the weight of his father's words. "Where do you want to go?" Sarah asked, her smile turning playful as they ducked under a thick canopy of trees. Leaves dripped above them, creating a natural shelter from the storm. "I don't know," Jack admitted, his breath coming out in huffs. "Anywhere but there." He gestured vaguely behind him, where the silhouette of the house loomed in the rain-soaked distance. "Then let us just keep walking." "We'll figure it out," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement and warmth. There was something liberating about not having a plan. They wandered into a small park, the kind that felt like a secret oasis amidst the urban sprawl. The trees stood tall, whispering in the wind like distant friends who understood their struggle. Jack felt the storm shifting. Dark clouds were still present, but for the first time in a long while, the air felt lighter. Jack sank onto a damp bench, running his fingers along the wood. "I can't believe I actually did it," he murmured, feeling a thrill of disbelief erupt in his chest. Sarah sat beside him, the rain softening into a gentle drizzle. "You took the biggest step of your life. It's okay to feel scared, it just means you're human." "What if I fail? What if my dad is right?" The doubt clawed at him softly, the kind that whispered rather than screamed. "What if I really am nothing without that life?" Then you would have the chance to build something new, Sarah said firmly, her voice unwavering. You can write your own story now, Jack. Not just for you, but for us. Her sincerity struck a chord deep in him, awakening something dormant. The fear of failing shifted to the excitement of possibility, a future they could shape together. Visions of late-night talks, laughter, and adventures began to sprinkle his mind like stars finally breaking through a dark sky. In a way, he started, a smile creeping onto his lips. I think you're right. This storm, maybe it's just a beginning. That's the spirit. She laughed, and it didn't escape him how her joy was infectious. But just as they began to unwind, the tranquility of the park was shattered once more. A buzzing sound broke through their moment, echoing off the wet pavement. Jack looked around to see a bright light approaching, a headlight's beam cutting through the raindrops like a knife. A car, his heart sank. Reflexes took over as he turned to Sarah. Hide. He urged, but it was too late. Jack. The voice burst from the car as it rolled to a stop. His father's familiar silhouette emerged, framed by the glow of the headlights. Get in. His father barked, brow furrowed, anger sparking his expression. You can't just run out here. You have no idea what you're doing. Jack felt his heart race, the conflict roaring back to life. The expectation, the pressure, the choice about whether to stand his ground or cave. He glanced at Sarah, who looked conflicted but stayed rooted beside him, because if he stepped into that car, what would that mean for them? What would it cost? Feeling the pull of his past against the allure of his new future, Jack's breath caught in his throat. What would he choose? And would he be strong enough to take the next step? Jack's mind raced as the rain drummed louder against the car roof, pouring down like the weight of the moment pressing on his chest. The familiar lines on his father's face had deepened in the headlight's glare, shadows casting an unsympathetic look. This was a face Jack knew too well, the authoritative brow, the tight-lipped frustration. Get in, Jack, his father insisted again, voice strident and stern. This isn't a game. You don't know what you're going to face out here. Dad, Jack said, his voice growing stronger. I'm not running back. I can't. But the words caught like a thorn in his throat. He looked to Sarah, her eyes wide and searching, filled with both fear and a strange glimmer of hope. Jack, she started hesitantly, but he shook his head, silently pleading for her to trust him. His father sighed, stepping closer, frustration leaking from every pore. You're going to regret this. You're making a mistake. The storm swirled around them, each raindrop a reminder of his father's expectations, heavy, oppressive. Jack felt a pulse of defiance surge through him. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to be me. He took a deep breath, glancing between his father and Sarah, his heart racing as if daring each moment to collapse into something profound. Me? His father scoffed. You think you know what that is? You don't have a clue what's waiting for you out in the world. Look at this rain. It's going to wash everything away if you don't come home. Maybe I want my own life washed away. Not the life you've planned for me. Jack shot back, his words echoing in the stillness of the downpour. What? His father's surprise turned into anger, fists clenching at his sides. So this is it? You choose her over your family? Over everything I've built for you? The accusation hung like a looming storm cloud, pressing down on Jack. It's not about choosing Sarah or you. It's about choosing myself. Each word was a newfound freedom, a thread of his own identity unfurling stubbornly. Dad, Jack continued, his voice calmer yet firm, I'm not asking for your approval. I just want a chance to figure things out. He held his breath, the weight of his revelation lingering in the air. Fine. His father yelled, taking a purposeful step back, temper flaring. Go ahead. Make your mistakes. But don't come running back to me when you end up lost. Jack didn't reply. The look in his father's eyes, betrayal, mixed with something deeper cut through him. Silence fell, heavy and tense. For a moment, the rain felt like a barrier, an unbreakable wall between their worlds. Jack, Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible above the storm. You don't have to do this alone. He turned slightly, his heart pinching at the thought of leaving. He couldn't let go of hope. Maybe this was the door to something more. The warmth of her presence anchored him. Jack took a deep breath, looking back at the car, resisting the urge to step inside and surrender. He could feel the pulse of his new path vibrating in his bones. He straightened up, locking his gaze on his father's face. "I'm going to keep walking," he said, a resolute calm washing over him. "I'll find my own way." The car's engine hummed quietly, a solemn witness to the family fracture rippling between them. As Jack turned away, he felt a tingle of fear mixed with the adrenaline of liberation. He and Sarah stood together, two misfits in the storm, ready to face the wild unknown. As the rain began to ease, a sliver of light broke through the clouds, casting a gentle glow in the distance. Jack took a step forward, and Sarah followed, hand in hand. But then he heard a shattering sound, a voice. "Jack, you won't get away that easily." The words pierced the air, laced with a promise of confrontation. Fear settled back in, but this time it ignited a fire within. What would his father do next? And how far was Jack willing to go to protect his newfound freedom? Jack paused, heart pounding in his chest. The anger in his father's voice reverberated like the last rumble of thunder, loud, jarring, and impossible to ignore. He closed his eyes for just a moment, hoping it would make the world right again, but the reality remained firmly in the rain-drenched night. "Just walk away, Jack." His father's tone was sharper now, a knife cutting through the tension. "You think you can face this? You think she's different? You're wrong. She is different." Jack shouted back, each word taking on the weight of a promise. "And I'm different too. I won't be trapped anymore." Sarah squeezed his hand tighter, squeezing out a small gasp from her. "Jack," she started, her voice woven with uncertainty and concern, but he could see the fire igniting in her gaze. "We'll figure it out together. We can do this." His father stepped forward again, voice lowering, turning from fury to desperation. "You don't know what you're giving up. You think you're ready? The world out there will eat you alive. Trust me." Every instinct in Jack screamed to turn back, to retreat into the safety of familiarity, of his father's dominance, of love wrapped in an envelope of expectations. But a different voice, one that had been silent for far too long, now surged to the surface. "Maybe you're right. Maybe it will be hard. But it has to be my decision." A sudden silence fell between them, the raindrops now softening into a gentle patter, as if the storm was hesitating at his resolve. Jack took a step, feeling the muddy grass squish beneath his sneakers, the fresh scent of earth grounding him. "Go ahead." His father's voice rang out again, now tinged with a deep sadness, a sense of loss. "Live this fantasy. But when you're broken and alone, don't expect to return to me for help." Jack shook his head. "I want to be broken. I'll be who I'm meant to be." He turned, pulling Sarah with him, igniting their escape into the unknown ahead. They walked in unison, hearts racing, each step a defiance against a life unchosen, but behind them, he heard his father's voice crack, filled with hurt and resignation. "Jack, you're throwing everything away for her?" Jack didn't look back. He wouldn't give in. The night's power surged through him, every drop of rain felt like new beginnings washing away old fears. As they continued down the road, the light from the town flickered in the distance. It seemed both inviting and intimidating at once. "Where do we even go from here?" he asked Sarah, vulnerability creeping into his tone. "Anywhere," she replied brightly, letting go of his hand just to twirl around, spinning joyfully in the fading rain. "Just out there. We'll find something. Together." Jack smiled at her optimism, feeling the fear begin to dissipate, replaced with an exhilarating giddiness. But then a shadow loomed ahead, the flicker of headlights pulling up, casting an ominous glow. "Jack." That voice again. It was his father, emerging from the storm. "This isn't over." In that moment, Jack felt the first thread of doubt intertwining with the adrenaline. How far would his father push before he backed down? Would they always be lurking behind him, waiting to pull him back into that old life? He locked eyes with Sarah. She raised her eyebrows, her enthusiasm now mixed with alarm. The road ahead felt heavier, less certain. It was suddenly all or nothing. "Do we keep going?" he asked, breath quickening with uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, Jack found himself faced with yet another decision, one that might seal their fates for better or worse. Could he trust the path ahead? Or would his past come crashing back, pulling him under? Jack took a breath, the night air sharp and electric. The moment stretched out, thick with anticipation. What if we had to fight for this? He heard the crunching of tires on gravel as his father moved closer. The confrontation between family duty and personal freedom loomed once more, a storm of emotions seeking resolution. Are we ready? Sarah whispered, determination in her eyes. Jack's heart swelled, a mix of fear and fierce longing for an adventure that was his to claim. And as his father's figure drew nearer, Jack realized it wasn't just about running away. It was about standing his ground. Yeah, he finally said, voice steady, I think we are. But deep down, he wondered what would it truly cost? And as they moved toward the light, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of an even bigger storm. The headlights got closer, slicing through the thick darkness, illuminating Jack's conflicted face. His father's shadow grew larger, reflecting the weight of unspoken worry and refusal to let go. What if this was a mistake? Jack's stomach twisted at the thought, but he couldn't let his father see that doubt now. Jack, wait. His father's voice was desperate, pulling at the frayed edges of Jack's resolve. You think you can walk away like this? Just leave everything behind? Jack swallowed hard, the lump in his throat turning to stone. He clutched Sarah's hand as tightly as he could, anchoring himself to her warmth. I'm not leaving. I'm choosing to live for me, he said, finding his voice through the nausea. Sarah squeezed back, a silent agreement charged with unyielding strength. She stepped forward, drawing Jack with her. We can handle whatever comes, she stated, looking straight at Jack, her eyes fierce and bright. We're ready for this. Ready? His father scoffed, shaking his head as if Jack's decision was a child's fantasy. You think you and your pretty little girlfriend can take on the world? You'll starve without a plan. Jack felt the heat rise in his chest, fueled by indignation. How could his father insist on fear when all he wanted was the freedom to make his own choices? We'll make a plan. It's our life, not yours. The words slipped out like a geyser bursting, filled with raw emotion. For a moment, they all stood there, wrapped in heavy silence. In that quiet, the world around them faded away, the rain hitting the pavement, the distant sounds of life continuing while they lingered on the precipice of change. Jack could see the flicker of uncertainty in his father's eyes, but there was also anger, disappointment. It cut deeper than any sharp word. Jack, don't you see? This is about you throwing away your future. His father implored, the urgency in his voice scraping against Jack's determination. Think about where this will all lead. Think about your family, your name, everything we built. I've spent my life thinking about it. Jack snapped, anger igniting at the back of his throat. Everything you built, not me. I have to find my own way, not just live up to your expectations. His father took a step back, as if Jack's words had physically pushed him away. And when you fall, his father's voice trembled. When you realize the costs of your foolishness. Jack didn't answer. The very notion echoed in his mind, wrestling with hope. But deep inside, he clung to Sarah's steady gaze, her unwavering support like a lighthouse guiding him through a storm. Let us go, Jack, Sarah said softly, tugging his arm, her eyes shimmering with unshed emotion. We can't let him dictate our lives anymore, we have to break free together. With a deep breath, Jack let go of the heavy steel chain that bound him to his father's past. He turned to the road ahead, a road that glowed under the town's flickering lights, each step carrying the promise of something new. It felt so simple. So right. I love you, he whispered to Sarah, the realization filling his heart, a warm force that fortified him against the cold winds of doubt. She smiled back, her joy radiating through the gloom. And I love you too. We can do this. Just as Jack began to walk forward, a cacophony of car horns blaring erupted behind them. Panic seized him for a split second as he glimpsed a figure running toward them, silhouetted by the headlights. It was his father, fast, relentless, and filled with a desperation he hadn't shown before. Jack. His father shouted again, this time a new edge in his tone, a mix of anger and something unrecognizable, perhaps fear. You don't have to do this. For a heartbeat, doubt clawed back at Jack like a tenacious wave, but Sarah stepped closer, nudging him forward. We have to keep going, she urged softly, voice unwavering in the face of conflict. Jack had to choose now. Would he let the past detain him, or would he embrace the unknown at her side? The heart-pounding clash of emotions swirled in his chest. He took a step toward the light and escaped from everything that had held him down. I'm sorry, Jack murmured under his breath, unable to look back, but knowing he had to forge ahead. As they moved with urgency, Jack felt the weight of his decision pressing on him, a reality he could no longer ignore. Would the love he cherished withstand the storm of resistance swirling behind them? In that moment of resolve, one thought flooded through Jack's mind, a desperate hope that nagged at him. What if his father's warning turned out to be true? But just as quickly, another flicker of conviction rose to challenge it. No matter what lay ahead, they needed to be free. And as the distance between them and his father widened, Jack breathed deep, ready to face whatever storm awaited them next. Would they emerge stronger, or would this choice shatter them both? Only time would tell. The rain finally began to subside, turning into a gentle drizzle as Jack and Sarah found a small alcove beneath an old oak tree. The air cracked with tension, but it felt different now, charged with a strange thrill. Jack turned to look at Sarah, her face illuminated by the faint glow of the street lamp nearby. He saw the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, mixed with fierce determination, a look that said she was ready to fight for their future. Do you really think we can do this? He asked, feeling vulnerability creep in again. The echoes of his father's words still lingered in his mind, the haunting fear of potential failure wrapping around his heart. Yes, Sarah replied firmly, her voice unwavering. We can make our own path. Think about everything we've faced so far. We didn't back down when we fought for that bakery. This is no different. We'll carve out a life together. Jack felt a warmth curling in his chest, ignited by her steadfast belief. He had sheltered himself under the weight of his father's expectations for far too long. It was time to shed the chains that bound him. But what if he started? But Sarah interrupted, stepping close enough to wrap her arms around him. What if it's just fear talking, Jack? You've got to silence that voice. I believe in us. Right here, right now, it's not about what's behind us. It's about what's ahead. And I want to face it with you. Her words wrapped around him like a comforting embrace, grounding him. He closed his eyes for a moment, inhaling deep. The scent of rain-soaked earth filled his lungs, cleansing his doubts. He pulled back to look into her eyes, their depths swirling with courage and tenderness. Okay, together, he whispered. Together. Those words gave him strength. Just then, in the distance, the low rumble of his father's voice echoed through the dimly lit streets. He could hear the frustration mixed with worry, still demanding answers, but Jack felt different now, whole. He wouldn't hide anymore. We should go, he said firmly, determination setting in as he took Sarah's hand. Yes, let us go. She grinned, squeezing his fingers tightly, and off they went, hand in hand, walking toward an uncertain but exhilarating future. As they stepped onto the main road, the world seemed to shimmer with new light, freed from the weight of impending storms. We can figure things out as we go, together, Sarah said, joy dancing in her voice. Jack smiled, and with each step, they left behind the fear that once rooted him in place. He felt light, almost as if he were floating, filled with hope and exhilaration. The sun slowly began to rise, peeking through the clouds as they walked further away from the past. A soft golden hue stained the sky orange and pink, the promise of a new day spreading wide. He looked up, feeling warmth coating his skin, and it ignited a spark within him. Look, Sarah exclaimed, pointing toward the horizon. A new beginning. Jack could hardly believe it. This was more than just physical distance between him and his father. It was a separation from a life defined by someone else's dreams. He was ready to redefine what success meant, and it was nothing like the life he'd grown up seeing in the old family mansion. They wandered into a small cafe, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapping around them like a warm hug. "What do you want?" Jack asked, his hopes rising like the steam swirling above the cups. "Surprise me." Sarah laughed, her momentum contagious. He ordered 2 steaming mugs, and with each sip, Jack felt more energized. Looking around at the bustling cafe, lively laughter and friendly chatter echoed off the walls. He knew this was the world he wanted to embrace, the world that held possibilities. As they sat together at a weathered wooden table, Sarah's eyes sparkled with mischief. What if we got a place together? Maybe an apartment or a little house near the park. The idea pulled at his heartstrings. "Yeah, we could get a dog too," he added, grinning, a vivid image of their future coming into focus. "Only if it can help us chase away the storms," Sarah teased, laughter bubbling up between them. In that moment, Jack knew everything he had feared was giving way to something beautiful. They were building a home filled with laughter, love, and a family of their own, anything but perfect, but a life they had fought to create. As they talked and dreamed about what was to come, Jack glanced out the window. The skies were clearing, the storm retreating into the distance. Maybe his father was right about one thing: life would be challenging. But this time, he wouldn't run back when things got tough. With Sarah by his side, he would tackle it all. He raised his cup, a toast to this new chapter. "Here's to us," he said, a smile spreading wide across his face. "And whatever comes next." "To us," she echoed, raising her mug. They clinked their cups together, laughter spilling over like the last drops of rain, and in that moment filled with warmth and understanding, Jack felt certain that together, they could weather any storm life threw their way. With hearts open wide and hands tightly holding each other, they stepped out into the world, eyes set on new horizons, ready to embrace not just the beauty ahead, but each challenge too. This was just the beginning. Now more than ever, as they walked forward into an uncertain future, the clarity of choice rang out bright and true. Jack understood then love and belonging were worth every leap, worth breaking free, and he wouldn't trade it for anything. So, let this be a reminder. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support us on this journey. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support for what this community stands for. Don't wait not even one more second to share.